And so saying into the next one if you watch the previous one. Now this one's going to be a little bit longer because, of course, so you've still got the trains behind me to watch. We've got the 8F at the Great Central here. So this one is covering what's next, basically. So I've already sort of touched on this at Atherstone, and I was said about looking for that emotional connection to a railway company. The LMS and the LNR were the two big runners at that time, and they still sort of are. There's a lot of things about the LNR I don't want to be negative, but not. It's not favouring it. I shall say, in as much that as there's quite a few designs that aren't really doing it for me. Very large boilers, the J26s, 27s, for instance, huge boilers. Now I think actually the plain black suits them better than the lime black suits that make it obvious. I don't know, it's got a funny thing about massive boilers on small frames. I don't have a huge personal connection to the LNER. Emotionally, there's a connection because it's the road company that Peter modelled. It's the one I got into by his enthusiasm spilled over onto me. Obviously, you get to see Tornado brand new, that sort of thing. You know, it is a BR built engine. Well, the original A1s were BR built engines. It's an LNER design still. It's a development of the A1, the original Gresley A1, because, like it or not, folks, the Great Northern being rebuilt into the A11 was the groundwork for the Peppercorn A1. You would not have Tornado without the A11 from Mr. Thompson. Swallow that pill. Get used to it. It's a thing. So yeah, you know, it's there. So I'm not too keen on some of the Great Eastern locos. Sorry if you're fans of things like the B12s. Don't do it for me. Big boiler. Okay, reasonably supportive to its frames. Silly little tender. I understand why it was a silly little tender, but it's a silly little tender for such a big engine. I thought the irony, and I thought the B12 video was behind me. Yeah, so there's lots of non-NERs. No, you don't have to have J26 and J27s. I mean, say potentially, I think the plain black one. I did have a J26. I think the plain black one does look a bit better than the lined one. Yeah, and also yes, you know, it's not the local team. The LNER did come to the Midlands via the Great Central, of course, and the Great Northern to Leicester. So the more you know. I only found that out last year. Yeah, so you know, it is in the Midlands in that regard. So it's kind of a local team. If I go for the whole region. Obviously, the LMS, opposite of that, very much a local team, given that there's a siding for a brickworks literally across the road from me. Originally Midland Railway, but of course, yeah, later LMS. Now I've defeated blockers in my head of Evil's Past with that one. It's no longer a railway associated necessarily with them. It still does occasionally crop up in my mind. I've never been too keen on Fowler Smokebox doors, I will admit, and how they look. Or I do prefer a Dart, but then you do have an opportunity for a mix. And some of those older engines, like the 3Fs, the Ginties, and so those 3F tender engines and the Ginties, and 1Fs and that, they think they look quite nice. Obviously got the LNW ones, a lot of them didn't get smokebox numbers at all. And that sort of thing, so you got those. Sorry. Boring myself, let alone you guys. Oh dear. No. And, yes. Obviously got a mix of liveries of black, lime black and red and blue. Though I'm not too sure about the streamline coronations, I will be honest. I think in model form they look alright. So yes, I'll have to have a look at the newer tooling ones. I've got a City of Birmingham, you see, that was a gift, birthday gift from my grandparents. I like industrials. By the way, I do love industrials, but that's what the shunting plank's for, and that's going to be the next layout to be built, to be a folding shunting plank. If anyone's seen the 00 Society stand, that's what they have. It, a lot of the time, is a folding shunting plank. And I'm going to use that mostly for my industrial locos. Also, we'll run other engines on there as well, but it's going to be aimed at those. Yes, very much a local team, and that as well. Obviously, for the LNER, you've got apple green, garter blue, lime black and black. So you get again on silver as well, typically. So and grey for the W1. You can gain a few more liveries there. Yes, they found and Royal Scots. There won't be any Royal Scots in my collection in LMS days because unless they're post-war rebuild, standing rebuilds. Because again, giant fat boiler, and in that instance, a silly little funnel chimney on top. Funnel chimney, yeah, whatever. Chimney on top. You know, absolutely what? Just what? I know it's to fit the loading gauge, but what? Looks ridiculous. Patriots look fine. So yes, there's that, and I thought that looked great, by the way. Yes, so there is that aspect of it. Now, there's another railway company which is conspicuous by its absence in this list, is the Great Western. Now, for many people who know me, I have frequently dabbled with the Great Western a lot, and going back to the looking for what I emotionally connect to, the GWR has always been there in my life as a supporting role. It's the first big railway event I went to in this country after getting back into trains in 2002 was Didcot Railway Centre with also lots of Great Western engines, and it would be one of the only 2 or 3 I think that I do with my father as present as well before he passed away. So yes, the Great Western does stick, and I think the other one, if I remember rightly, the National Railway Museum was one, so there's not really a focus there, despite what some people try to claim. About to be the National LNER Museum. I mean, it was started by the LNER, so yes, there are probably a lot of prototypes from them, or representatives of them and constituents in there, but I think there's a bit of a mix really these days to to not warrant that. Which brings me on to something else in a second, but I'm trying to think if there was another one. There might have been another one somewhere there, but I don't think there was actually. Thought there might have been a Neem Valley trip in there. I'm not sure there was. But yeah, because unfortunately, obviously, I lost a lot of photographs when we were burgled that time. Plus the discs they were about to up to I cannot find anywhere. I'm hoping they're going to turn up one day because I've looked high and low for them, and it really upsets me that they're not around. These days, of course, you've got things like Dropbox and OneDrive and stuff. They'd all be on there. Didn't exist in those days. So yeah, well, didn't exist to a point where I knew about them. Put it that way. And yeah, so the Great Western is always there. Now, obviously, one thing I like about some modern railways and real railways is getting to watch valve gear moves. There's not an awful lot of that on the Great Western. It's connecting rods and coupling rods. You get to see most at most. There are some engines in their fleet that had valve gear external, but not many. And that's where you get on the LNER and LMS. More on the LMS than you do the LNER, must be said, for tank engines as well. But the main thing that always stops me, because this is something I was trying to think about, the main thing that always stops me is certain people in my circles, it becomes impossible to talk to because you try and talk about it and it's just general ribbing about the Great Western nearly the entire time. You try and talk about it, or you get, they're all 57XXs. Everything, or it's a 57X6 with an extra coal wagon behind it. And then when pressed recently, the reason I got was it's overrated. it's too popular almost. It's it's too highly regarded. And that goes for Flying Scotsman too, and anything else sort of guilty by association for building Flying Scotsman. And it's just sort of like, come on, guys, because one of the things that's bringing me to not only to keep my love for Japanese trains and Japan in check, is not stopping myself from having great days out and experiences here, is using my UK railway interests as a control rod, a governor, if you will. So on a stationary steam engine, you've got it looks like a pole with 2 prongs and 2 balls on it, and they can actually move in and out. Behave yourselves. So basically, it controls the speed of the engine. If the engine starts to get too quick, they start to move out. It puts more strain on the mechanism, so it slows down. And that's what my interest in UK railways is being used as well, is to control that, so I don't get burnt out with it, because that's the last thing I want, is to be burnt out with that. So, but another reason is that it's incredibly lonely. And there's another well-known YouTuber, we all know and love him, who actually uses that as part of his channel name. And I knew from the get-go getting into Japanese rail was going to make me an outsider. Of course, I'm talking about Anthony, and he's actually done a video explaining why he feels like he is an outsider to that. And you have to go and find it. I can't remember which one it was. I don't want to misremember it. But this has gone to sleep again. It did that earlier. Oh, only 12 minutes in. Good. He explains it on that one. So I knew what I was getting into with it, and I don't regret it for a minute. However, I don't like the feeling of loneliness. I can talk to friends, I can talk to people, and eventually I have to say, I'll get you a picture, I'll get you a picture, I'll get you a video. And it does get very wearing, because then you see the conversation, especially at a show, you see the conversations happening inside of you. Okay. Yeah, I'd like to be involved in those. Basically, I want some of that. And it can be very isolating not to receive that. I actually feel I probably could try to run my British Engage stock on this layout at a show and see if people notice. Because yeah, the engines are so alien to them. And the trains are. I mean, that's why I like taking the modern ones, because they're brightly coloured and they do sort of attract. The Shinkansen does definitely attract attention, being bright yellow. That's the only thing I'm not sure about. How many more Shinkansens before Tings? I'll have to check that just on the previous video. Yeah. Anyway, so that's probably the other reason I am basically fed up with being lonely. On that front, I can feel very lonely in other aspects of my life. I don't need it in my hobby as well. The one I can do something about very easily, and that's this. It's to go down this route. But that's not how it's when you go, right, okay, you think to yourself, right, I'm modelling, you're doing something UK, I'm ready to talk about it, and it's just jeering and jokes, and it doesn't just come from one source. It doesn't come from that friend. It comes from who I have tried to talk to about it, by the way. You get it anywhere else. I went to a model railway show, not in Telford, but near a place near Telford. I can't remember what it was called. It was a number of years ago now. And on the way in, I was wearing a Great Western shirt. On the way in, based on lines of that's a nice top showing about the railway company. Now again, probably meant as a joke, but it wears, it builds up and wears. And you sort of know for a fact if you went in wearing LMS or something else, Southern, even LNER to a degree, you wouldn't get it so much. Flying Scotsman you might get it, but not anything else much. And it's just a case of, look, can we just stop it? Can we just stop it? We're all train nerds, because just enjoy. And I guess this bit's a bit about thinking about what you say before you say it. You know, because it can really put people off things, and that's largely why I haven't modelled the Great Western fully. It's because every time I start getting enthusiastic for it, there's this little thing just chipping away at it. And for that reason, it's sort of like, do I model the GWR? Do I do it, push through, actually break ground with building the layout? So it's like, do I get nasty, almost? I know when I say get nasty, I just mean, oh, grow up as a response. You know. Yeah, I don't want to do that because I think it could isolate you further. Yes, but you know, I'm still very much thinking about it, and that's why I felt it was worth making a video though, because I sort of want to make that point I just made, that it's nothing to do with the actual rowing. Now, part of me does feel that yes, you know, once you get a design of a Great Western engine outside of a pannier tank, it's that one design in different sizes. But that's the idea of standardisation, isn't it? Is that, yeah, things will look the same. But a six-coupled set of wheels with a rod going up to the cylinder, that's a standard look, standard thing. Just the only thing that changes is the size of the wheels, and obviously the distance between. Or maybe you get an extra pair for a 280 or 282 tank. So yeah, you know, so yes, and that's where this everything's a 57XX comes in for the joke. But it's yeah, I don't know how to phrase it any more than that. You know, obviously look towards the Midland Railway, there's a very family feel to those. You look towards the London, Brighton, South Coast Rail, there's a very family feel towards those. E1s are basically big terriers, just looking at them, and probably very different otherwise, but they are, appearance-wise, big terriers. You know, can many people out there tell me just a Grizzly A1 and a Grizzly A3? There are differences to look for. I know some of them, but are they easy to spot? You know, that's it's the Great Western that's well known for it. It's the Great Western that's predominant in preservation as well, so it is there. But yes, so I am trying to decide. I did think about Heritage Railway. Did think about that. But if I move to modelling with an exhibition out with that, that's something that's cropping up more and more. And I'm still trying to think of adding something different, even if it's a non-Japanese exhibition out. I want to add something different to the mix, as it were. I have looked at O-gauge, by the way, but and it's very tempting because I could get an Inglenook shunting puzzle here, which is very much, it takes the box being operational. I can have some Great Western if I want to. I can have some LNER if I want to. I can have some industrials. It's a bit of a. And I've always said that O-gauge is my dream scale of size. You know, I just think it's glorious. I thought about TT120 again. The only thing with TT120 I can see now, apart from pressed whinges about brake vans, which I still stand by, and the Rapido announcement is pretty amazing for a start. And I believe the single largest Encounter Models loco announcement there's been yet for British TT120. And then the manufacturer in the mix as well. The locomotive model count, I should say. Before, so stop typing that comment, I'll see you. But you know, the way that's going is very much towards the diesel route. More so, I was going to say diesel and electric, but it's the diesel route, which is absolutely fine. that's coming into vogue now. We can see that. We can see that with the exhibition layouts. We can see that with the amount of more BR Blue stuff appearing. That's coming into fashion, and that's wonderful. That's absolutely wonderful. And it's fantastic that TT is responding to that. If that's what's selling, that's what you need to make. You know, it stands to reason. I'm a Steam guy. Now, I've accepted my Japanese stuff that I've got a lot more modern stuff. The collection is far more modern than I thought it would be. Also, I've got a real mix there. And yeah, that's great. But with my UK stuff, I do want more emphasis on the Steam stuff, because that's what I love. Lovely Grantham there. I think this is Tony Wright operating the shed here. There he is. The great Tony Wright. I've got a lot of time for that man. He's said some lovely things to me in person. I've had some great conversations in person, and and of course a lovely layout. I've really not had a bad interaction with him. And even he said to me, because I'd been this conversation with him at the time. One of the times I spoke to him was when I was trying to decide, and I said, we're doing Great Western, I'm thinking about doing LNER. And he said, well, what's wrong with the Great Western? No, well, he's quite right, there's nothing wrong with the Great Western. Yes, I mean, I say, with the LNER, I can think of too many negatives, and I don't think I can count it as a possibility. I like A4s. I like A4s and like some of the other engines, but it didn't run on A4s, did it? Now, an interregional with an A4 can do that. And I'm not sure how I feel about unpainted coaches. So BR Eastern Region becomes a possibility on that front, because also you can then get away with not having some of the large boilered engines with standards and other engines like that. But and you get painted coaches. But I don't know about that. I would say I'm not doing a complete discount at this point. Then maybe I'll do this video, upload it, go to bed, wake up tomorrow and go, actually, do you know what? Having said it out loud, I think I actually could manage with it. I'd like to do another Mororo show, so I want to go to Telford. I want to see some more layouts in action. Does anyone know, by the way, let me know in the comments, if the entry fee to the Telford show in July, whether that includes ride on the train or whether that's just the entry to the show. £15 it is in a minute, and I was like, okay, could be a reasonable show. But if it's the same size as last year, that feels a little bit steep. A few people say it's a bit steep. I don't know, I'd probably like to go anyway. Yes. And Brian, if you're watching, this is why I said not looking for an A for Element, because I'm trying to decide what I'm going for at the minute. I don't want to waste your time. Though I did notice that Dave Angle trains, or Dave Angel, is it Dave Angel or Angle? I'm never quite sure. But I noticed there were some Dublo A4s on his Facebook page the other day. Like, oh wow, okay, that's cool. So I don't know if those are the ones you're referencing. I may yet. But yes, I mean, I have even considered doing those. Doing diesels there. What I don't want to do, and this is a hard don't want to do, is a generic layout. Even if it's preservation, it has to be based on one of the big four, or a pre-grouping company. It has to be based on something where that sets the theme for the buildings, the railway orientated buildings, and so on, because it gives it purpose. The railway had a purpose prior to preservation. You can't quite do that with I can't quite do that with a standard gauge model. Yeah, a model representing standard gauge. Yes, I can't quite do generic feel, as much as that would solve a lot of problems. Yeah. yeah, very much still thinking. I just wanted to update you on that one, I suppose, and still, you know, I do say if you've got an argument to make for your favourite company, if there's a reason you think, actually, I think you should reconsider LNER, or because of this and that, or you could think about doing this. Joint railways are a great idea. I'm just totally unsure how to run them. So there is that. I just, yeah. Like, there was a lot there at the show on Saturday that had both London Midland region and Eastern region stuff. You know, LMS and LNER basically interacting on the same bit. And in a part of the country I like, but, you know, I don't know how you operate that. It doesn't work in my head, especially for a branch line terminus. The neutral I'd probably have initially, if I was to do something in here, it'd have to be a branch line terminus. So, yes. Right, well, I think I'm starting to ramble now, so we'll stop there. See if this remote will open up. 26 minutes, yes, I've wasted enough of your time. But, yeah, the mojo's there, it's ready to get going, and I can get quite enthusiastic about quite a few things, but then it's just decided, making sure I make the right decision before I start buying models as to what that is. Okay, well, if you feel I've left in the middle of a conversation there, I don't think I have. I think I've tied that up. Because basically, yes, you know, the big thing was the being careful about what we say, even if we think it's humour. Some jokes get bored, but very boring. You know, tell it once, leave it. If the person you're talking to then makes that joke back again or something like that, then maybe that's the invite to carry on a little bit. But yeah, if they ask you to stop, like I have to the main person, then I've tried to do that with humour myself, and yeah, it just gets very boring. But yes, I want to make the right decision. Because whatever it is, it's going to end up being my favourite railway company too. And that's basically what I'm trying to choose here. Yeah. Yeah. Take care all.